We're in the Hakdama of the Rabbi Itzele Volozhin, the son of Rabbi Chaim Volozhin. And I have to admit that initially I was just going to go through this very quickly, just the Hakdama. And I'm realizing that the Hakdama of Rabbi Itzele Volozhin is as chashuv as the Sefer. I mean, he learns Pshat from his father. He's learning his father like a sugya, which is altogether like what a dream. Could you imagine that if we could become so great that our kids will want to learn us? Not just say a hesped, oh yeah, my dad. Just really like learn Pshat. So like he learns Pshat ad kedei kach that he didn't. We're going to see later why he didn't. But he didn't print the Sefer Nefesh HaChaim for a number of years. And when he went over it to a number of years after his father was nifter, he went over his own Hakdama, and then he wrote Hagos on his Hakdama, he has another Kiddush and another Kiddush, and so it was like a sugya of the Gemara, just an amazing. They took every aspect of it and blended it in with Chazal, and just beautiful. So with the last thing that we said in our volume here, it's on page. We just finished page 19, moving on to page 20. And we said that the Rabbi Chaim Volozhin, he says, was his ikar was that he sat in front of the Vilna Gaon Milakameh, and he brought here in the footnote on the second time around that when it came to let's say Rebbe said, what was my greatness? My great, and people asked him, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, how did you become so great? So he said, because he sat behind Reb Meir. So he was young. He was just a young Talmud in the time when Reb Meir was the Rosh Yeshiva. He sat behind Reb Meir. He wasn't so to sit in front of him. He only sat behind him. He says, "V'yilu chazisi mekamei," but if I would have sat in front of him, I would be even greater. So he explains in a very deep way. I don't want to go into it again because we did that the difference in there's a whole difference in the part of the das, which is called the das milakamei and the das me'achoirei. There's like when you see a silhouette of somebody, or you watch somebody from the back, so you can see their meisim, you can see their external thing, you can see how they're walking, if they're in a hurry, where they're going, if they're determined, if they have a goal. You can see all that from the back, but when you see the face of a person, when somebody's coming towards you, you can really see what's on their mind. Not just the external output, not just the articulation of where they're going, but you actually see the depth of the person. So Reb Meir said, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi said, everything I'm teaching you is because I sat behind Reb Meir. So what he meant to say is not a question of not telling him where he sat. I sat here, I sat there. What he was saying was that the most I saw was the silhouette of Rabbi Meir. If I would have seen him from the front, I would even have a whole different Havana. And he says that the Rabbi Chaim Volozhin saw the Vilna Gaon from the front. So it's not just that, I presume that when we hear a story of the Vilna Gaon, another story, another Gadol, another Tzaddik, but when you see him from the front, he understood what was on the Vilna Gaon's mind. This just shows us, who Rabbi Chaim Volozhin was, who the Vilna Gaon was. He says here on page 20, that during the time that he learned by the Vilna Gaon, remember we said when he was young he learned by the Shagasarya, and then afterwards he became a Talmud of the Vilna Gaon. First word. Page 20. First word. Oh, I'm sorry, the one I have.
Has paragraph first? What's the first word of the paragraph?
Ukiyam. It was like the Navi speaks about taking from Nahar Dinar, Kabbalistic Navi, of taking from the rivers of knowledge of Har Dinar, which were rivers of fire that Daniel Hanavi describes his nevuah. He said that he was watching rivers of fire. Whenever he would teach or tell over to his children, or his students, that's how it was when Rabbi Chaim would describe his learning and standing in front of the Vilna Gaon. Aimsa derabe have law, he would be in pachad, he would tremble, as he would quote the Vilna Gaon, b'mora nifla, ki oime lefana b'mara. The Vilna Gaon was long gone, he was in Shemayim, but it was as if the Vilna Gaon was standing right there in front of him, and he would have this pachad of every time every time he would quote the Vilna Gaon. V'kasher posach b'shmaitza v'doker shmei derabe, whenever he would start with learning, or even mention the name of his Rebbe, Havi Meratea Kol Gufa, his whole body would begin to shake. V'zihu shnin iluha, and this is all Lashon from Daniel. Zihu shnin aleha, zihu like a tudat zehut. Zihu shanin iluha, he would change. Reb Chaim Volozhin would look different. His face would be different. Everything would be different because the ruach of the Vilna Gaon was going through him. That's how remarkable this was. From the fire of the river, of the V'hagiyah darech tarkitzi kasei v'chasidasei v'taris kedushasei. V'ar terasei niknasei, and he had a kinyan in the Torah of the Vilna Gaon. V'asher haya koicha yafe v'hamaylish haTorah niknas b'hem, because, and this is really the segue to what we want to speak about today, because he was kocha yafe, meaning that the Reb Chaim Volozhin, kocha yafe, his strength was, the strength of character was b'hamaylish haTorah niknas b'hem, was in the, as we call these days, the 48 ways that Torah niknas b'hem, which the Torah is acquired to them. And if you look at the theme of those 48 ways, not an expert, but if you look at the theme, much of it comes down to being humble, being able to be machnia yourself, being able to do without, being able to care less about your comfort and more about the material in the Torah and Hashem. That's I think the upshot of the 48 ways Torah niknas b'hem, and this was the tuna of Reb Chaim Volozhin, and this is what we're going to speak about now. U'me'aderes Eliyahu, this is like a pun, and from the mantle of Eliyahu, from the coat of Eliyahu, which later on Reb Chaim Volozhin wrote a sefer about the Vilna Gaon, called it Aderes Eliyahu. Hislabish Hanava V'yira, from being in the presence, in the awesome presence of such a great person as the Vilna Gaon. I don't think we have a concept, and my Rebbe used to say all the time, like, we have no concept in the Vilna Gaon. We just have no concept in how great of a Talmud Chacham, as much of a Talmud Chacham that we can imagine. So we can't imagine anything. So multiply it by 1,000, and you get the Vilna Gaon. That's what he used to say. But then he said, and it's clear to him. Rav Scheinberg told me this. He said it to many people, that it's clear to him that the Vilna Gaon was nothing compared to Abaye and Rava. And Abaye and Rava compared to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. We don't understand So what's there? They were great geniuses. Of course, they were great geniuses. But the point is that they were literally, these people were literally walking Sifrei Torah. They were Torah. It's not that they learned Torah, that they did Torah. They were Torah. They were Torah, and everything was 100% clear to them. It was like Hashem's gift to the world. So we're talking about when he would mention the Vilna Gaon, he would tremble. And it created in him one of perhaps the main theme of the 48 ways, which is anova, which is modesty, humility, being humble. And here he says, do you have the place? Ugedola anova. So look, Ugedola anova shel kvod mar Abba hagoyim. And I want to speak now, he says, about the anova. Now, I think there's a lot of Torah here to be learned, and say modest, we're used to hearing this word. He was humble. I think there's a lot of Torah to be learned here from Reb Chaim Volozhin. This humility took over everything that the Reb Chaim did. And I want to tell over the tip of his knowledge. This is also a pun, because ksas means a little bit, right? But ksais means like minakotza la kotza, to the extreme. So do you know the connection between those two words? Because when you get something down to the very, very end, you get to a peak, you get to a final, you're getting down to like one almost immeasurable point. That's why it's called the ksas. Ksas is the kotza. So he says, I'm going to give you the tip of the iceberg here. Sois dracha vasapra, which is the lashon of a pasuk, Be'asher derech hanava. Liais, this is interesting. Liais es dacha, or l'reimem es dacha itai. I don't know if you're familiar. Let's learn it together for a second. The Gemara says, in Shlit'a, fascinating Gemara. There's part of this Gemara that everybody knows about why Har Sinai was not the biggest mountain. Right? There's even kids' songs about it. But really, the Gemara is much. Here. So the Gemara says in Shlit'a Daf Hey. There's a pasuk in Yeshayahu. Pasuk in Yeshayahu says Ve'esdaka ushfal ruach. Let's go all the way and learn the pasuk. Yeshayahu in a nevuah. They're the most fantastic nevuahs. Yeshayahu. Kichoy Amar. This is what Hashem said. This is, by the way, Yeshayahu Nun Zayin, a little piece of trivia which is not trivial. This is the only place in the whole Tanakh where a Navi says Kichoy Amar and he doesn't say Kichoy Amar Hashem. Always says Kichoy Amar Hashem, including Yeshayahu. Koyamar Hashem. This is what Hashem said. Ki Koyamar. This is very deep. He just says Koyamar. This is what he said. It's like Koyamar Hashem. But what does he say? Instead, he gives adjectives. Koyamar Ram Venisa Shoichenad V'Kadosh Shemai Marim V'Kadosh Eshkain. Koyamar, the most exalted one. When we say this on Shabbos, Shoichenad Marim V'Kadosh Shemai, right? But this comes from these psukim in Yeshayahu, where Shochinad Marom, we speak about God as the exalted one. Where is God? You can't get higher. You can't get more into a more lofty place. Shochinad, you can't be more forever. Marom, the Kadosh, completely separate. Shema. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when we talk about the adjectives of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're talking about the highest of the high. Impossible to get higher. So Yeshayahu says, Ki Chay Amar Ram Benisa Shoichein Ad V'Kadosh Shemai Marim V'Kadosh Eshkain. Where do I live, says Hashem? Marim, in the highest place, V'Kadosh Eshkain. So he's out there. God is not for us, to put this in our terms, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not anything or anyone that we can grasp in any way. And then Yeshayahu says, Ki Koyamar, in the name of Hashem, Koyamar Ram V'Nisa Shoichenad V'Kadosh Shemai. He's quoting God here. I am the highest. I am the holiest. I am the furthest away, the most ungraspable of anything that you can imagine. Es daka ushval ruach, lahachyesh ruach shvalim. My purpose is es daka ushval ruach, for the downtrodden, for the humble, lahachyesh ruach shvalim. I will give chiyus to the ruach, to the downtrodden spirit of those that are of the lowly, ulahachayos, and there will be a machaya. I'll give chiyus, I'll give life, leiv nitkaim, to those that are despondent. So here's Yeshayahu, who describes the ultimate dichotomy, really, of life. Think about it for a second. That here's Hashem, who's the highest of the high, and the most exalted, and the most unreachable and ungraspable of anything in life, even beyond life. There's nothing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're talking about Hashem. And what's he busy with, says Yeshayahu? This Ko Amar, this is what this Ramanisa says, that I'm here for the despondent one. I'm going to take, or we say in davening, Motzi Asir, Fodan Novim, Ozer Dalam, Ona La'ama Yisrael Be'Shavim. So the high and the low. What's the omek of it? What's the omek of this? And I think there's a big omek. So the Gemara says, first of all, in Sota, the Gemara says, quotes this pasuk, Ve'esdaka ushval ruach. How do you translate the word ve'es daka It's a little bit awkward when you read the pasuk. I'll do one more time.
So we say Motzi Shabbos also.
Yes. Yes, in the Yitzhak. Hikoyam Aram v'nisa shoichin ad kadosh shmoim maram v'kadosh eshkain ve'es daka u'shval ruach. So how do you translate that? Chaim, what's ve'es daka u'shval ruach?
And also involved.
And also? Which word is also?
The S.
Ve'es. Ve'es daka u'shval ruach lahach yois ruach shefal. So Chazal we're worried about what's that ve'es exactly. V'daka. What's the S? Not just the Gemara of Es L'Rabbos. With.
Yeah.
With. And what's the ramification of with?
Connected.
Down there.
Meaning he
Down.
is down here. So it says the Gemara like this: Ve'es daka u'shva ruach. The Amoraim, how they learn Torah, how they learn the pasuk that we just sing. Vezdako u'shva ruach Rav Huna v'Rav Chisda. This is a machlokes Rav Huna and Rav Chisda. Chad Amar Rav Huna held. What's the pshat? Ve'es daka iti daka. Chad Amar and Rav Chisda said no. Ani es daka. Sounds subtle. The machlokes. What's the pshat in this es? So Rav Huna said, Ani es daka. And Rav Chisda said, I'm sorry, iti daka. And the Rav Chisda said, Ani es daka. So Rashi helps us here. What is it? The first opinion is iti daka. Hashem's talking. With me are the downtrodden. Sounds good, no? With me are the downtrodden. What more can we ask for? So says Rashi, what does that mean? Ani magbia es hadako. I will pick up the downtrodden. Ad sheshoichen etzli, until that downtrodden person is with me. V'hainu eshkoin es daka. And that's what Yeshayahu meant, that he, the exalted one, will pick up the downtrodden, magbia shefolim, and bring him to me. Comes Rav Chisda, and he says, no, I don't like that. He didn't mean iti daka. He meant ani es daka, says Rashi, ani marchin es chinasi etzloi. I will come down to him. What a machlekes. Machlekes Rav Huna and Rav Chisda, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps the downtrodden. Kula alma. HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps the lowly person. Now, who's not? All of us. That's all of us. That's all. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps the downtrodden. Is it the pshat that HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes the downtrodden and picks him up to where he is? Or is it the pshat that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is markin es atzmai? Markin es atzmai. He lowers himself, pours himself into the place of the low person, and imcha anoichi b'tzar. I'm with you. Everybody hear the shaila? Is that esoteric or my nafkamina? What is the shoichein ad moray? My nafkamina. What's the? He brings us up. We go down.
He still has to bring him back up on the way, no?
Why?
Because what's the point of going down there if it's not lifting them? I mean, even if it's just the experience of him being with us down here, it's doing something. So it's lifting us back up, right?
Okay, you're ladafka. I mean, that's what you're assuming.
Mm-hmm.
But let's clear our minds here for a second. Is that necessary? What is happening here? So I'll tell you just my own idea that the pshat in this Gemara is, by the way, at the end of the Gemara, what's the halacha? What's the halacha? You can't have a shaila Rav Huna and Rav Chisda with no nafkamina. They weren't just two guys having a philosophical debate. More something like that. So says the Gemara, Mistavra Commando Amar. The Gemara later on says, it's already time of Ravina and Ravashi, after Rav Huna and Rav Chisda, Mistavra Commando Amar Ani Es Daka. It's more logical to say that Hashem comes down to us, not that He brings us up to Him. Why? Sharei HaKadosh Baruch Hu inya kol haramugvais because you see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not give the Torah on Mount Everest. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not take, as Rashi says, Har Sinai, and he could have done anything, right? Make it grow. Wow, what a miracle. Just like there's thunder and there's lightning and there's clouds and you're listening to the lightning and you're seeing the thunder and like all kinds of weird things happening at Har Sinai. So one more thing could have been, watch that mountain grow. The mountain could have gone up to Shemaim. That would have been a cool nest, and that would have been Judaism. It sounds what?
It was a mountain.
It was a mountain.
It wasn't the low place.
It wasn't a low place, Nachon, and it wasn't the smallest mountain even, but it wasn't the biggest mountain. So, but he could have made it into the biggest mountain. Even if you say Har Sinai had a mile onto itself, says the Gemara, of like Gavar Har Sinai Lamala. He didn't pick Har Sinai, not like everybody says he didn't pick a higher mountain. Like Gavar Har Sinai Lamala, he didn't pick Har Sinai up. So from here you see that what? That Dafka Hashem wanted to come visit down here. He's like a great person. Says, I want an audience with the king. I want an audience with the prime minister. Okay, who's going to who? Obviously, we're going to go to the office of the the president, the prime minister, the king is not coming to me. So here's HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying that it could go this way, it could go that way, enough that he's giving us this audience and he's taking care of the downtrodden. But no, I'm going to go to him. Mistavra, we see, what's the Mistavra? We see it from Har Sinai, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu went down to the mountain. He didn't bring the mountain to him.
If he picks us up, it sounds like there's a chisaron in being Daka, that he has to pick us up. If he's coming on to us, so that's already...
What's the chisaron?
That he had to pick us up. But if he's coming on to us, could be that that's Ratzli, that that's Daka okay to be Daka, and then you get Hashem with you. As opposed to I need to pick you up and fix a problem.
There's something condescending.
Right, or it could be a mile, it could be a
Condescending, I'll bring you up to me. Sharei HaKadosh Baruch Hu iniach kol harim ugvois. And here he says further that not only did he not pick Har Sinai up, but he niach kol harim ugvois. He left aside all the harim, all the gvois, all the big mountains. V'hishra shchinasai al Har Sinai. Also, v'hiniach kol ilanois toivos. Right? Imagine Moshe Rabbeinu should have had his great first nevuah with an elm tree, something majestic. It was a bush. Something, Yeah. Iniach kol ilanois toivos v'hishra shchinasai basneh. Came to Moshe Rabbeinu in a sneh. The Taiches, Dati, say, Begadol, that there's two ways of looking at world, at life, the Jewish way and the non-Jewish way. Assuming that everybody agrees that God created the world and we're here to serve Him. Is the world something where, like we have this world and we have to somehow get out of it, go to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Like, let's just get out of this mess and put our heads in the Shemayim? Or is it the Pshat that Hashem created this world for a reason? And being that the world was created for a reason, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to be Mashresh Chinasai Ba'olam Hazeh. He wants a dira b'tachtonim. That's this week's parsha, right? Truma, Tetzaveh. This is what it's all about. We're not talking about you coming to me. I'm coming to you. Mashresh Chinasai. Why? Because this is the whole tikkun. When Hashem created the world,
it's
Kol Hashem mishalech bagan. Kadosh Baruch Hu was with us in Gan Eden. Lamato, me'asar tzvachim, like we learned over and over again, the Gemara in the Talmud Devarim. Lamato me'asar tzvachim. It was only when Adam Arishon and Chava did the chet that Kadosh Baruch Hu said, I can't coexist in a situation where you don't recognize me, where you have no room for me. We need to explain that. So I had to elevate myself from above the world, but that's not the ideal. When we understand what Adam Arishon did, it was only the chet. The chet was he took the Shechina of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he raised it from Lamata Me'asar Tzvachim to Lamala Me'asar Tzvachim. He took it out of our domain. Lamata Me'asar Tzvachim in Hilchos Shabbos is our domain. After that's Malcolm Couture. It's like no man's land up there, airspace. So what we're talking about over here with the Chet of Adam Harishon is that he went against the very purpose of the world. The purpose of the world was that Hashem should be here in the world. That's where He wants to be. That's why He created the world. I've explained this many times. This is Malchus.
Yosef Haya b'Mitzrayim.
Yosef Haya b'Mitzrayim. Did I say that? Yosef Haya b'Mitzrayim. What is Malchus if I don't Ein Melech B'lo Yam? What is the Malchus of Hashem if I'm only in Shemayim? I need to be the king, Yachol, of everything. Everything means the low of the low. And my majesty has to permeate everywhere. And Hashem is Halech Bagan. I have to be in the Gan. So when we talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu picking Har Sinai, so we're not just saying that, well, was he humble? We're saying that this is the whole point. It's not about humble. It's about, what if I would go to, somebody, I just like a mushal, somebody was describing to me, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, that he's going to medical school, Israeli. He's going to medical school. I said, okay, and then what do you want to specialize in? So, I'm an American, so Americans are used to, like, I'm going to become a pediatrician, I'm going to become a surgeon, I'm going to become some kind of a doctor. I'm going to become a professor, he says. So, and then what? I'm going to teach other people medicine, and then what? And they're going to become professors. Well, who's going to heal the people? There's this idea of living in this ivory tower of, what does it come? I just so it reminded me. I just to further my muscle, it reminded me. I remember I was at the time learning in Brisk, and I was offered a job in Buffalo, New York. Well, Brisk to Buffalo, B2B. so like, what's the, like, how is this going to work? So everyone said to me, like, you're going to go to Buffalo, like, there's like, 90% intermarriage. It's snowing too much. It's, nobody, there's not a million. I came to my new shul, the Rav of a shul, the first week there's no million. Like, how did that feel? So I'll describe to you how it felt. It was extremely humbling because I figured I'd go to become the Rav of a city, something like Rabbi Yaacov Haber, something like the Chassam Sofer. No million, no million. But it was so. So I remember saying to him in my katnus at the time, he says, how are you going to go, like, after all this Torah you learned, and you're here in your Shalayim and Scheinberg and Brisk, and you're going to go to Buffalo, like, what's that? So I said, that sounds to me like somebody who spends years and years in university and education learning how to treat malaria. And then somebody says, okay, Shlichut, time to go to Africa. And he said, Africa, I'm not going to go there, there's malaria over there. Like what then is the point? So we're kachevanti. So just tell you a quick story, which I may have told, but just a quick story, like I got while I'm here, that there was no minion, and I remember it was the minion was called for 9, I think, or 9:30 or something like that. That's when they called it for. No minion. 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. Another one walks in. Another one drives in. Another one is and we get to 9, and it's maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. We get to 9 people. Like the only thing worse than having 2 people is having 9 people. Hello, we did the Shlit'a. Like, how could this be? It was terrible. It was just a terrible, terrible feeling. And this was not where I was. Ended up in Buffalo, the suburbs. So I said to the people, "Isn't there another Jew here we can call?" No. No potential for a congregation here? No. So what'd you bring me here for? I don't know. Like, Yamim Noraim, like what's the, there's got to be somebody here that we could call. So finally they get to the point that there's Goldstein, who lives about a block away. Guy Goldstein, he's not a religious guy, but he lives about a block away. So, okay, Goldstein. So desperate for a new rabbi, just came to the city. Most of the people were already sleeping in the shul. So I go out to Goldstein's house and I knock on the door. It's 10 o'clock or 10:30 or something like that Shabbos morning, and there's no answer. And I'm looking at there. They have like a porch. And the porch is a picture window. You can see into the living room. And I'm knocking, and I go over to the window and I couldn't see anything but this. I never saw this before. Was this sort of like white glow in the house? I realized that it was the television. So what happened was when there was I took it closer. There was like a couch and a television. It was a Saturday morning. And it looked like something from a science fiction movie. They were all like sitting in front of the television in their pajamas, mesmerized. It was like with this glow on their face from the TV, And I'm thinking, okay. And I'm with my talus and the snow. It was December or something. I was with my talus and the snow. So I knock on the window and I woke him up out of their stupor. And this guy answers with his pajamas, yeah. So I said, I'm the rabbi here. I'm a rabbi here. I think back, I would never do this today. People in shul, they're waiting. We need a 10th man. He says to me, he says, I'm like all confused. He says to me, I'm all confused. I'm really confused. Is it Rosh Hashanah? It's like, what's the like Baishla Yoid B'Yabai? Like what's the? So I said, that's just like Shabbos. And we do Shabbos. Like you got no idea. It wasn't even like there was such an idea, a concept. The concept of the chiddush. So he says, okay, I'll come. You need me, I'll come. I'll come. I came back. I said, he's coming. Nah. I said, he's coming. So this guy, 10 minutes later, Phil Goldstein, he shows up with a suit and a tie and a shirt, like Oiske puts that. I don't even know how, mamish, like it was like the best dressed guy in the show. He comes in here, minion, because of the son, 12-year-old son, also all dressed up, beautiful. So I just want to tell you something. A story. P.S. This boy, who's today a doctor in Rochester, New York, was the valedictorian at Nefesh HaChaim High School. And this guy became a Rav with smicha and the head of the entire OU of Upper New York State. That was neat. So this is the pshat. Think to yourself, like, was Hashem there or wasn't he there? What's the pshat? And it was just nifter, maybe 2 months ago. This is I'm talking a story of 40 years or something, 35 years. But this is the pshat that the Shechina can be shoyru. I thought we're waiting for the Shechina. I thought we're waiting for some kind of an esoteric thing to take place so we can say Baruch Hu Hashem Baruch. We weren't waiting for that. We were waiting for Phil Goldstein to come, because that was the Hashras Hashchina now came not just to a snowy city and not just to some suburb and not just to 9 people. It came to the room with the television. That's where the permeation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu was. So there's malaria there in them woods, but the point is that's Gufa. That's the tikkun. That's the tikkun, because that's where Hashem wants to be. It's not that this is humility on Hashem's place. That's why He created the world. That's where He wants to be. And it's not even a question of picking it up. That's where He wants to go. I want to get into that house. I want to get into that living room. I want to permeate. Hashem says, in order for me to be successful with capital my project, then I have to be able to permeate every single nook and cranny of this world, and that's what took place over there, and that was his siyata d'shmaya. And as I said, the rest is history. So comes the pshat in Har Sinai is not that Hashem is making a concession and saying, okay, I'll meet you on the low mountain because I'm an unav. The pshat in the concession is that's where I want to be. Now, why wasn't a valley? Good. Talk about it next week. But why not in a valley? But that has to do with, as Rabbi Yehuda said, we have to pick ourselves up. Meaning that there's an isarusa de l'sata, isarusa de leila. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, I'm coming down to meet you, but you need to come to shul. I'm coming down to meet you, but you need to build a base of mikdash. Va'asu li mishkan, mishachanti b'seich. You need to do something in order to make a makom which is panui for the Shechina. That's what we need to do. But it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu is happy to go not just happy. That's what he wants. The Ratzon Hashem is to go to the lowest place. So here, let's take this conversation here. The Gemara says the second example is the sneh. So what happens with the sneh? Moshe Rabbeinu stands in front of the sneh, and Hashem says, go down to Egypt and speak to the Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go. I'm quoting it good. Let my people go. And what does Moshe Rabbeinu say? Mi anoichi ki ave lifnei parei. Mi anoichi. Who are I? I'm going to go stand in front of Paro. So we all understand the story. You don't have to, who am I to stand in front of Paro? Or else for Simon, I can't even talk straight. I'm going to go speak in front of Paro. And what is Hashem's answer? Before that, I will go with you. Ani elech imachem. I will go with you. I'm not. You're telling me how low you are. The lower you're telling me you are, the more you're making me happy. But you could I want. The more you're telling me that Mitzrayim is a downtrodden place, that they'll never get it, they won't understand Hashem, me Hashem, the more excited I am, Hashem says. Because now I'm going to get into that room with the TV. Now I'm going to get into the most downtrodden place. And if I can't soak into the nooks and crannies of this world, which at that time was Mitzrayim, if I can't soak into that, so what do I need? I need you to get on to top of Mount Everest and meditate? That's why I created a world? For you to get out of it? So this is the difference, as I said, between Judaism and every other religion. The ones that recognize God, that we're not trying to get away from the world. We're trying to bring Hashem into it. I think that's the omek of this Gemara here. The omek of the Gemara is that comes from Chisda. He says to Rav Huna, no. It's not the godless of Hashem, is that he brings you up. That's not what Yeshayahu was saying. That Shochenad Baroi V'Kadosh Shemai is coming, and he's going to come right down. The Shochenad V'Kadosh Shemai is right here with us in the pits. Imcha Anoichi B'Tzar, because that's where I want to be. See, so I would learn with you time, but we only have 2 minutes to go. Rav Dessler, Chelik Aleph, page 101. Fascinating Michtav Meliyahu, where he speaks about, look at the 2 greatest revelations in the history of the Jewish people. The 2 greatest revelations. Number 1, Har Sinai. Number 2, Yecheskel and the Ma'aseh Merkava. The founding of the whole Torah, the founding of the essence. The only closest we get to the essence of Hashem and Kabbalah is the Ma'aseh Merkava. What Yecheskel saw that we can't even understand. Where did it happen? Not just on a low mountain. It happened, and not just in Golus, but you would have thought the whole time we were in Eretz Yisrael, from the time of Shlomo HaMelech, all the way until the time of the Churban, at some point or another, some Navi would have had a Navu about the Ma'aseh Merkava. Where was the Ma'aseh Merkava? But it was only, says Rav Dessler, after the Yisurim of Golus. It was only after we were downtrodden, and it was only after we were pushed down to the lowest level in suffering that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, okay, now I could talk to you about the Ma'aseh Merkava. Now you're on some kind of a madrega. Madrega, I've never been so low. Oh, that's where I want to be, right? That's exactly where I want to soak in. I want to be able to permeate that low place. So it wasn't in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. It wasn't the time of the great Nevi. It wasn't the time of Yeshayahu or Yirmiyahu. It was Yecheskel. Begolus, Bavel, in Bavel, he didn't even see Eretz Yisrael. Listen to Nevuah. Because you got to get lower and lower and lower and lower. Al Daras Bavel. Sham Yoshavnu. V'gam Bochinu. We were sitting by Daras Bavel and suffering and hungry and mourning the losses that we just lost in Yerushalayim. That's where I'm going to appear to you and show you the greatest secret. As Rav Dessler, it brings from the Zohar, I believe, that as Rav Dessler, that you have to know that the Gilui of the Ma'aseh Merkava was a deeper gilui than the Maisa of Har Sinai. Do you want me to repeat that? The gilui of the Maisa Merkava was a deeper gilui, but I think it's more important. You can live without the Maisa Merkava, you can't live without Har Sinai. But in terms of the depth of insight, it was even deeper. We got to a deeper place than in Har Sinai. Why? Because the pain of Golus Bavel was more than the pain of Mitzrayim and Yitzias Mitzrayim. Because Yitzias Mitzrayim, we're on our way to Eretz Yisrael. We thought within a couple of weeks. Okay, this is we're just en route. Not too bad. Golus Bavel, we thought it was all over. And he says that, and the means to say that we became Golus Bavel, we were lower. Since we were lower, we were higher.
Is there a Shivcha lo Ra'a, Moshe, because when
However,
a Shivcha lo Ra'a, the Kriyas Yamsuf, also then says Yechas Korein. Then it says Shivcha Saw, the
Ra Shivcha.
Ra Shivcha. That's a different sort of, that's a different thing?
Ra Shivcha Layab Asher Loira
Yeah.
Yecheskel Ben Buzi. So first of all, what's the comparison to Yecheskel Ben Buzi? Vakesher Yecheskel Ben Buzi. Like, why is it Yeshayahu? So the answer is that's the highest, and the Shivcha who was lowly, Dafka.
Yeah.
The Shivcha was the lowest person. We're not talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. We're not talking about Aaron. We're talking about the Ziknei Yisrael. Rosh Shivcha Layab Bashalai Ra Yecheskel Ben Buzi. There was a possibility of even the highest level because she was so low. Shivcha Layab. That was the godless of Shivcha Layab. So what? So that's the taich of this pasuk. That's the taich. So he says here, just to finish the sentence. Sorry. the theme is that's why there's so much to learn from a hakdama and even a biographical hakdama with footnotes. Is that he attributed Rabbi Itzele Volozhin attributed the massive amount of Torah and Siyata Deshmaya that his father had to start every yeshiva, not from his big heights, but from the fact that he was the Anav Mikol Adam. See, Rabbi Volozhin writes himself later on in the Sefer. He writes that everybody has to understand that Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't makabel the Torah in spite of the fact that he, was like a low self-esteem. He says it was like a kli. It's like a kli, like a cup. And the cup, how much liquid can you fit into this cup? 8 ounces, 12 ounces, 13 ounces. So you can't really measure from the outside of the cup. You have to measure from the inside of the cup. And the thicker the walls of the cup, thick walls, geschmack a cup, right? It doesn't even break when you fall it. The less liquid is going to go in there. Moshe Rabbeinu was the thinnest walls possible. He had hardly anything of himself. It was clean. He was a clean to be makabel. That was the lowliness. And Rabbi Volozhin says, he said, everybody has to know that anybody who would be the Anav like Moshe Rabbeinu, Anav Mikol Adam, would also have the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. It goes together because the Anav is making room for the Shechina so that the Shechina can soak in and be there with Moshe Rabbeinu. So Moshe Rabbeinu thought he was at a disadvantage. I can't talk. I can't do that. I'm a paro. I'm a shepherd. What do you? No, this is exactly what we want. Why I'm choosing you. And look at the snap coming to you in a bush. Do you see me in the elm trees? This is exactly where I'm coming to you because I want to get back to the place of Kol Hashem B'Salach B'Gad, B'Toch HaGad. See, let me tell you one thing just before we say good Shabbos here. When I just get back to Buffalo for a second, when I came from Eretz Yisrael to Buffalo, so Rabbi Schreiber told me that I should go. I'm going to stop in New York. I should go say Shalom Aleichem to Rav Moshe Feinstein. Because Rav Moshe Feinstein, Tzaddik Livrocha, is the Posek Hador, and if something will come up, you'll have somebody you can call, and he has to know who you are. And so I said, I'll call you. So he said, I don't know always what's, in America, it's a different country, and I just, he doesn't always know, what the minhag is, what to do, catch you with Rav Moshe, as he told me. So I did. I called, and the rabbi answered. I told him that exactly what I wanted. I told her, she said, yeah, come at this time. And I came to the house of Rabbi Yaacov Haber on the Lower East Side. I think I might have told you this great story that I came into the house and she said I should wait in the living room. I should wait in the living room, and this beautiful living room. We had a big window overlooking FDR Drive, and the living room. I'm looking at this living room. It looked like an old person, old rabbi living room, right? You know, and old furniture. You know, like my grandmother's furniture. Like that's what it was. So he had like this couch with 3 seats and this love seat with 2 seats. This sort of like royal type of a chair with 1 seat. That was the coffee table. And that was the living room. And I'm thinking to myself, where should I situate myself? Like where do I belong? So I said, like couch, that's too big. The single chair is probably his chair. So I chose the love seat. All right, good choice. So I'm standing in front of the love seat. I'm sitting there. Like 2 seats, but you know those love seats you really have to be a lover because there's really not enough room for 2 people on those seats. It's just really an expanded 1 seat, right? Yeah, nobody sits 2 seats. There's 2 people. You sit on a couch with a pillow in between. It's uncomfortable since I'm close to somebody. So I'm standing on this. I thought I chose well. I chose wisely. I chose the thing. And Ramosha comes in, and I stood up, and he says Shalom Aleichem. And he has to choose. Where does he sit? He sits right next to me in the love seat. And I felt like telling him, like, there's so many chairs in this room. Why do you have to sit right next to me? And he sat like next to me like this. He was sitting next to me, and we're like 2 inches away from each other. That's the way we're sitting. Straight. Okay. So this is like a very uncomfortable. I mean, like it was like a little too close to the Shlit'a for me. Anyway, so what can I do for you? You know, so I explained to him that I just finished yeshiva and I'm probably going to be a rabbi here, and I'm looking for to make a kasher and maybe some eitzes, in Rabbanus, like Rashiva give me an eitzah. So he thought for a second. Ramosha's face was like shining. It was like I was actually, I don't exaggerate. It was actually like difficult to look at him. It was so shiny. It was like Moshe Rabbeinu, like he needed to wear a mask, and here it was like I love to see, But he said to me, he said, I'll give you an eitzah. In Yiddish we were talking. I'll give you an eitzah. He said that traditionally in Rabbanus there's 2 ways to be a Rav. One way to be a Rav is like, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi says, Nahoig nasi yasecha baramim. Ish mechubad, and you don't let anybody offend you, don't let anybody mess with you, and don't let anybody, remember his words, but, just make sure, watch your cover. Watch your cover. That's one way, and many Rabbanim were matzliach in that derech. We could go through a list. And then there's another derech, like you find in history, of Rabbanim that are mavater, okay, my covet is not important, and, whatever, give it to somebody else. It's a different derech in Rabbanis. So he told me, he says, I'm not sure which is the right derech. He says, but I always chose the latter. I was always mavater. If you want my eitzah, I think you should choose the latter too. That was his tip. I thought he was going to give me like some kind of a thing like who to call to be Masad or Gittin or something, or how to get a minion. Be mavater. But the omek of the I don't know that I was ever on the Madrega to be Makayim it, but it's always in my head this eitzah. But the omek of the eitzah is because the whole idea is that you're opening up a new branch for Hakadosh Baruch Hu Shechina. It's a new Beis Hamikdash, a new Mishkan, a new place, a new and in order for the Kol Hashem to be able to permeate b'toch Hagan, so the only way to do it is by being mavater. Like Volozhin says that if you have the Keli of Moshe Rabbeinu, you have the Adivas of Moshe Rabbeinu, you can have the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. You can have it because there's room there. So you need to make room. So this is, I think, the message of Yeshayahu. Shoichenan Maram v'kadosh Shemai, but he's with you at the love seat. Yeah? He's right there and able to permeate if you can be makabel, if you can be the kliya makabel. And this is a very, very practical thing. And this Rabbi Itzele says, we'll read through it quickly on Sunday, but this is the Rabbi Itzele Volozhin. This was the success. From this came out Volozhin yeshivas. From this came out all the yeshivas. From this came out the Goyin HaGoyinim. And where did he get it from? From standing in front of the Gra. He was together with the Gra, and he saw Milfanov, and he was humbled in such a way that everything was able to permeate him. The whole Shechina was able to permeate him, and he was able to go. So Kedi Ratzai, this is what we need to open ourselves up to. So to be, you want to be big, you have to be very